Welcome to the Kiwimana Bay.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming along. This is the episode number 19. And for those who grew up in the 80s, 19. But anyway, it's just Gary here this week because Margaret's actually away visiting friends and family, but she should be returning this week if she can work out how to get home again. So hopefully we'll see her on the next podcast. What's happening at Kiwimana? Well, today we had a guy called Dave came over and I showed him how to inspect a hive. He's just actually got a bench hive a couple of months back, I think. So he's just still getting the hang of how to inspect beehives. Another thing we've been doing is we've been treating our beehives, and we have just done a mite count. So I've got those in the garage now to check them, so we're going to do a blog post about that soon, and we're hoping that the mite count's quite low and the oxalic acid and epilopha has done its job. So hopefully you guys have all had your treated your bees and you're all going well, and you've done mite counts to see they're okay and getting them all ready for winter. Also, this is the time of the year that you need to start thinking about. The other thing is reducing the entrances to stop the wasps coming in. So have a think about that, guys. Probably reduce them down to about 2 inches and probably about 6 to 8 mils high. So just because it just makes it much easier for the bees to defend their the entrance way there. The other thing we've done is we've redesigned the weekly newsletter that we send out. And we've made it a bit easier for people with mobile phones and other devices like that. It's kind of like a text-based email now. So it's just a bit easier to read. And we've also started to talk about what we actually do and introduce some of the blog posts a bit better rather than the automated way we were doing it. Yeah, so if you haven't signed up for that newsletter, please consider doing that. You can go to http://kiwimana.co.nz /sign up, or if you go to the kiwimana.co.nz website, and on the right hand side at the top you can see a sign up form. There's also, you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. So if you have those social media programs, check it out. Okay, let's move on to the news. Okay, well, the articles that we thought are quite useful this week, so we've got a couple of stories here. So the first one is Ike, Mould in My Hive. And this one is from the great blogger from Seattle in America called Rusty, and she's got a blog called the Honey Bee Suite. And she's got an article there about when people find mould in their hives. Obviously, America are coming out of winter at the moment, and so they've obviously got, they're finding some of their hives have died and stuff like that. And people are suspecting that mould's the killer, but it's if you read Randy's article, she doesn't think that's the problem. The mould just likes a nice warm place to live, and beehives are a perfect place for that. As I just saw today, her latest post is she's found a mouse inside her hive, which has been mummified, which is a fascinating photo. So I encourage you to check out the Honey Bee Suite blog. There's going to be a link to this article on our show notes. And the show notes for this article are kiwimana.co.nz/19. And the next story is a local New Zealand story from the Marlborough Sounds. And they're just saying that hobbyist beekeepers need to be aware of the risk of tootin this time of the year. And we've just recently come out of a drought here in New Zealand, so the risk of tootin honey is quite high. And for our overseas visitors, tootin is a bush that we have in New Zealand, and I'll post a photo on the show notes of the actual what it looks like. And what it is, it actually does contain a toxic poison in it, and that's why all commercial honey in New Zealand, or honey for people to eat, has to be tested first before you can actually legally sell it. If you don't have your honey off before Christmas, then you need to get it tested by a laboratory. So just watch out, guys. But I mean, to be honest with you, if you should have had all your honey off by now anyway, because you should have been treating your bees and have your honey off. So hopefully that's the case. Yeah, and the next story, also from Randy. Yeah, so her articles have been very popular this month with our readers, so good work, Rusty. And this one's called The Long and Short of Honeybee Tongues, and this one's about bee biology, about the how the bee uses its tongue and, all sorts of things like that. So it's a great article. I won't repeat it here, but if you check out the show notes, you can have a look at that one. And the next one is a funny story. This is from the media gone wild again. And this one's actually from New Zealand, from Wellington's south coast. So a swarm of 3,000 bees has been menacing the neighbourhoods. This is just shocking, isn't it? And they're talking about Norman Smith, who administers the Houghton Valley Community Newsletter, has sent out a special issue to notify residents of a getaway swarm. This is great news that the swarm of bees have got some news coverage. And yeah, guys, if you see a swarm in spring, which probably it's pretty rare you get one now, I'd say, yeah, just beware. Anyway, the next thing we want to talk about is the New Zealand Natural Beekeeping Conference, which I attended in March, which is organised by Janet Luke from Green Urban Living and also from Graham Wheeler from the Frankham Bee Club. And this was a great conference with me, Janet, Graham, and a guy called Lot. He actually talked about queen rearing. And we all talked about different aspects. Janet talked about alternative varroa treatments. And I talked about our integrated pest management methods that we use. So, yeah, check out our blog post about that. I've actually got a recording of my discussion. And also I've got the slideshow there if you wish to have a look at that, which has been quite popular, been quite surprising. We've had over 200 people download that, so that's been fantastic, guys. Thanks for doing that. And for everyone that turned up and said hello, thanks a lot, guys. And it was a great day, and we hopefully will repeat that in the future. Yeah, the next article we want to talk about there is the Buzzy Bees visit the Auckland Bee Club. In New Zealand, for our American visitors or overseas visitors, the Buzzy Bee is kind of like an iconic children's toy that it's basically a big bee with red wings, and you drag it along the ground and it clicks. And yeah, I don't know why it clicks, but it's not really like a bee. But anyway, it's a great toy, and I've actually got a couple of them myself. Yeah, if anyone there is watching the live shows, you can actually see a big Buzzy Bee behind me in the shot there. So yeah, the big Buzzy Bee came, and the kids got to ride on it, and I was quite devastated because I didn't get to ride on it because I was so busy talking to people they wouldn't let me ride on it. So anyway, it's a shame, but I'm sure I'll have a go on it one day. So let's get back to do some feedback from you guys. Right, well, no feedback this month from iTunes, so nothing to report there, guys. But if you're on iTunes, please review the Kiwi Mana Buzz podcast. Also, if you're not on iTunes, it's 3 ways to do it. You just go to itunes.com, create an account, and leave a review for our podcast. And if you get some use out of this podcast or you find it useful, yeah, please leave a review there, because it actually helps us get the name out there, and also helps it when people are searching for beekeeping podcasts on iTunes to show up our podcast. So yeah, let's move on to what's coming up in the next month. Well, as I discussed before, we're going to have a new blog post about the autumn treatments coming out. That should be coming out very soon. And the next thing we're going to have is Vanessa Drew from Ireland. She's one of our guest blog posters. And she's got an article about her winter bees coming out of winter, obviously, and just there's been quite a lot of losses in Ireland this year, so that's a sad story. And yeah, she's also opened a bed and breakfast. So if you're ever in the island, ever near where she lives in the island area, drop her a line and go and check her out. Go and see what her bees are doing and how her garden's growing. And in other articles, we have going to have an article soon about how to move bees. This is probably something you're going to need in spring when you decide to move your bees to other sites or stuff like that. So I'm going to write an article about that. And probably another article that we're going to do is how to prevent wasps coming into your hive, because this is the time of year that wasps are starting to build up again. And how do you prevent them coming into your hive? And actually, just tonight, I've actually went to a customer's house to actually investigate a bee swarm, which actually turned out to be wasps in the ground. So they are starting to build up again now, guys. So be vigilant there. Watch your hives. Yeah, set some traps or do some robbing prevention there. Another thing I was going to do an article this month is that this may have to be moved to May, but just an article about how we make beehives, just some photos and how we do it and what we look for and stuff like that. I mean, if that sounds useful to you guys, yeah, check it out. And what's coming up in the beekeeping news? Let's wait a sec. Yeah, okay. Well, I've just heard today from the Franklin Bee Club that they are going to have a DECA course on the 11th of May in Ramarama. So that's a very important course to go along to, guys. It actually helps you to do disease recognition on your beehives and spot things like American foulbrood, European foulbrood, and other exotic diseases and other diseases. So I'd really encourage you to have a look at there. If you want to get on that, give Graham Wheeler a call on 09 239 1177 or at graham@thewheelers.co.nz. So I understand the Auckland Bee Club will probably be having something similar, but that hasn't been announced yet. So this is for people in the Ramarama around area, which is sort of south of Auckland. So day of learning, and then you get your DECA qualification after you've succeeded with the exam. Just be aware you need to get the American foulbrood recognition book from the MBA, I believe, sell it, and you really want to read that before you go to make the exam a lot easier. So yeah, guys, go along. That would be great. Yeah, that's about all we've got this month, guys. It's a bit shorter because Margaret's not here to talk about stuff. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the show. And the other thing we talked about last month, I'll just go over what we talked about last month, is we did an article about guest blog posting. So if you're keen on doing a blog post for Kiwi Mana, check that out and get in touch, because we've got a few people on our books now that do guest blogs, and I see it a way is that we can actually get different ideas from around the world and different places, because me and Margaret don't know everything by any stretch of the imagination. So if you guys would like to contribute to the blog, that would be fantastic. I'd really appreciate that. So check out that blog post. And that's it, guys. So thanks a lot again for listening to this far. And we'll see you next month, eh? Cheers, guys.